a kind of an occasional night off?
Yeah, he's obviously been banged up for the last couple of years, and so this is all part of maintenance and making sure we're handling things the right way. So, he should be good to go Wednesday, and it makes sense to give him tonight off. So, but we'll see. He's been fine. He's in a really good place. But yeah, we got to be smart, especially in the early part of the season.
Is anyone else resting on the second night?
No.
All of these options help Steph have the weight off of his shoulders on offense. What does it do long-term for him as you look at his minutes and his body? He's 33.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still trying to figure out Steph's rotation right now, and I've talked to him about it. We're experimenting with a few things because part of it is that we're looking at a lot of different combinations overall, and I want to see him as part of some of them. And so I haven't really done him any favors in the early part of the season in terms of helping him get into rhythm, because he's kind of been in and out of the rotation. But the great thing with Steph is he's always, open to anything as long as it's geared towards winning. And so I think we'll get more comfortable with his rotation as we go.
Steve, this recent stretch, you guys have limited opponents to 91 points. I mean, I know we've talked a lot about your defense, but that's a pretty impressive number. I mean, what's a sustainable number of points that
not 91?
No.
Yeah. I think in the modern era, if you can keep teams under 100, that's generally been a really good barometer. This year's a little different. The numbers are different across the league because of the rule changes. I think those changes have helped us, frankly. We didn't, we have never really had a lot of guys who, tried to manipulate fouls, maybe the occasional, pump fake and jump into the guy. But so defensively, I think it's helped us because we've been able to avoid fouling until last night anyway. And we've kept our opponents off the line in a pretty good fashion, but we've got to get back to that tonight because we got off course last night.
Hey, Steve, watching from afar, what have you thought of Trae's ability to be quote unquote the villain and using that energy to fuel him while he's on the floor?
To be perfectly honest, we see him twice a year, and I saw some of that in the playoffs last year, but I don't feel like I know him well enough as a player to really, comment on that dynamic. I just know that he's a hell of a player, and you got to be prepared for him when you go against him because he's dynamic in the pick and roll. He's one of the best lob passers in the game. And if he gets free and he's shooting his little floater in the middle of the paint and hitting Capella and Collins for lobs, you're in for a long night.
You guys have won 4 games. You're the top defensive rated team. So a nitpicky question as you have all this momentum. Is there anything showing up on film that you'd like your guys to tighten up?
Well, the fouls from last night are the main thing, 37 free throws, I think. But like I said, we were really good without the first 8 games. So hopefully last night was the anomaly and we'll get back to doing what we were doing before.
Coach, you mentioned the rule changes. Trae Young was one of the best at drawing those fouls, stopping short. When you're playing him this year, does that change your defensive approach now that those things aren't necessarily going to be called defensive fouls?
No, it doesn't change the approach at all. You just you sort of breathe a sigh of relief, though, knowing that you can actually put a defensive armbar up and not be called for a foul if he hooks you. And that's the main defensive rule change that I think has helped the entire league. We're not getting that whole byplay where the offensive guy is hooking the defensive guys, everybody's flailing, the whistle's blowing, and you're all looking around like that wasn't a basketball play. I mean, I think the players have really adapted quickly. Steph had a play in preseason in Portland. He pump faked and he jumped to the side. He didn't get the call. He's like, okay, he just moved on. And that's what I'm seeing league-wide. I'm not seeing players, jump sideways. I'm not seeing them try to hook the defender. So I think these new rules are working well. And I think it's an adjustment for players. It's an adjustment for the officials, but I like the direction it's going.